As of right now, the June Boston Apparel collection is now live. Let's run through what just dropped. We have 4 hoodies total, a white and black if you're reading this, your car is too slow, a black and rust heavily modified, 9 new tees, the built on passion tee in 3 different colorways, just boost it in 3 different colors, the heavily modified in 3 different colors. We dropped 2 new joggers, which we've never done before. We have a bunch of stickers and we have air fresheners. First link down in the description box below. If you're wondering about sizing, we do now have sizing charts up on the site, but I wear an XL in all the t-shirts and in the hoodies, size large on the joggers. I am 6 feet tall and currently around 190 pounds. Every single domestic US order over $100 does qualify for free shipping. All of these pieces I'm showing you guys are limited quantity and they will not be restocked. First link down below. Thank you guys so much for the support and I hope you love this drop. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today is one of those days. It's kind of like a weird, I guess you'd call it like an update type of day. A lot of the cars, not a lot of them, but some of the cars are needing just minor fixes here and there. We're in Bobby's STI right now. She drove it to the post office, said it smelled like gas. So she brought it back home and got the Evo. So I need to bring it to the shop and apparently she thinks there's a gas leak on it. So I want to get that double checked. We're going to do some work on Jared's car. Unfortunately, we do have to send the turbo out. So that car is probably going to be a bit out, unfortunately. And then I want to work maybe a little bit on my Evo 10, the camo Evo 10. Yeah, there's a lot of random stuff. So yeah, fun, exciting, random day. Well, I went to the shop. There is indeed no fuel leak. So I decided to pop down here and grab some E85. Never in a million years I thought E85 would be cheaper than 92. I ain't complaining. It's pretty nice. This is also the first time we're filling up on E85 with the new build. Excited to see how she rips. Sheesh. E70, sick. Yep, still rips. Getting our shop base started off with a Evo 10 transmission repair. This is of course for Jared's Evo 10. This thing has the typical, I don't know how typical it is, but it has the issue where if you're doing a little ripper in 4th gear, like Jared loves to do, it'll pop out of 4th gear. It doesn't do it in 3rd, it doesn't do it in 5th, it doesn't do it in any other gear besides 4th gear. Based off the research I've done and my very, very limited, and when I say limited, I mean limited knowledge with transmissions, it seems like a synchro issue. So I went on jackstransmissions.com and picked us up a 4th gear synchro. Didn't really feel like spending the money on all new synchros, so we are doing just 4th gear synchro. You may be thinking, wow, you're so smart. How do you know how to repair a transmission? I don't, but we're gonna figure it out. We have our shifter linkage that we need to remove. We have a ton of bolts on the cases we need to remove, and then the cases will come apart. If I'm not mistaken, 4th gear synchro here, entire shaft has to be pressed apart. So we have a circlip up there. We're gonna pull that clip off and then we have to press all of the gears off this entire shaft and we can go get that synchro swapped out. This is also new to me, so I'm just being really, really careful when I pull stuff apart. I've had transmissions apart, but I've never really pulled apart the tranny shaft, and I definitely have not swapped out a synchro before. Good thing we got a Harbor Freight press. Well, that's a first. I'm not saying this trans is gonna work, but that's a first synchro replacement we've ever done. Beautiful. Pretty simple, honestly. I just took it apart and put it back the same way it came up. It went back together the same way it came apart. Here is 4th gear synchro. It looks perfect. I don't know how synchros work. So hopefully that was the issue. If not, then I'm sorry, Jared, but you will deal with a 4th gear pop out forever. Now I need to go through, clean up the cases, get these things nice and beautiful, brand new looking again, get the gear set down in that case, reseal it, bolt them together, and we can move on to the next project of the day. Transmission is complete. Let's hope she shifts. Next task of today, the R6. Gave her a much needed bath. Every time I want to ride the R6, I have to push start it because the battery will not hold the charge. So I picked up a new battery. I did have one leaky fork seal on the bike as well, so instead of replacing the seal, let's go to get the seal cleaned out, and if we can get it cleaned out, it'll stop leaking, which is much easier than replacing it. Got her to compress without leaking, so we should be good, but if it leaks from here, we're just gonna have to rebuild this fork. Bike is complete and ready for another couple thousand miles. Now let's talk about this POS. I have no idea what's wrong with this thing. Backstory, it was about 2 months ago. I was sitting there, car was sitting there idling. Went out in the morning, fired it up, fired right up. Day before, Jared and I were out doing a photo shoot for a Boston drop with the Evo 10. Car ran perfectly fine. The next morning, I was gonna drive to the shop, so I had it sitting there idling. Warming up in the morning, went inside to do some stuff, came back out. The car had stalled, which that's never once happened in its entire life. Tried to fire it up, and it almost sounded like, I don't know, just very, very tight. So I don't know if the motor just let go idling, which I've never heard of before. Yeah, it does have a ton of miles on it. This motor's been in the car for probably 4 years now, 4 hard years. So I'm gonna try to start it up again right now. When I do crank it over, it's building oil pressure just fine. And that's about as far as I got diagnosing it back at the house. And then I dragged it to the shop and here it sits. So let's try to fire it up real quick. I don't think it's gonna start, but let's give it a shot. Sounds weird, doesn't it? It almost did fire up. Battery's a little bit weak, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do right now is pull out the spark plugs. It'll allow us to actually turn it over faster and see if we hear any weird noises. Of course, I want to get up on the lift for a full diagnosis, but Jared's clunker is torn apart and we're not gonna have the turbo back for a while. So maybe I'll just pull that car off the lift here soon. Probably not today because it's getting late. She sounds very sus to me, kind of tight sounding. I feel like all I do is cut filters these days, but good way to tell what the hell's going on. So let's pull the filter, cut the filter. If that checks out fine, I'm gonna pull the valve cover, check timing. If that checks out fine, I'm going to check compression. If that checks out fine, then it was just a weird incident, and I'm hoping that is the case because I don't want to build another motor right now. So far, so good. Nothing nasty in the filter so far. Let's cut her open. I have anxiety. I really don't want to build another motor right now. This thing is as clean as could be. Thank the heavens above. I thought for surely, I was 100% convinced that this thing had through a bearing, which seems very, very odd for just sitting there. But this filter is as clean as could be. I am very thankful right now. That doesn't mean our motor's fine, but I'm so sick of catastrophic failures. We had Bobby's catastrophic failure on her STI with a spun bearing. We then purchased an Evo 4 with crank walk. Jared dropped a valve, which completely took out his motor. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah, I hate catastrophic failures. So if this thing just lost compression, I really don't care. It's an easy fix. It's pretty cheap, to be honest, compared to like a spun bearing or a drop valve, of course. So let's go ahead, and I'm pretty confident now it's just a timing issue. I guess we could go ahead and pop the valve cover off. Let's just do a compression test first and see the general health of this motor. Something sounds so weird when I'm turning this thing over. I'm gonna scrap the compression test. I don't really care right now. Let's go ahead, pull the valve cover and check timing. All right, crank is set. Let's check cams. I think we're 180 degrees out. Cams are spot on. It does not rotate over smoothly. There's no plugs in it right now. And it just turns over weird. We need to get this thing on the lift, my friends. I don't have time tonight. We made some progress. I think the motor is gonna be fine for the most part. I don't know why it turns over funny. It could be something to do with the clutch. Yeah, guys, I don't know. There's only so much I can do with the car in the corner over here. We really need it on the lift for further diagnosis. Plugs look fine, look a little bit wet, probably from trying to turn it over and it not firing. Timing is fine. I didn't even bother checking compression because when you turn the engine over by hand with the plugs out, there's a stiff spot in the stroke. So yeah, that could be something good. It could be something very, very bad. Guess we'll figure it out another day. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's freaking random. These are the downtimes while we wait on parts for builds. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next video.